Hey everybody, welcome to Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. I am Bill, and this is Flying Monkey.
Hello.
How do you want to refer to yourself? Do you care first name, or do you want to just keep it Flying Monkey, or
Uh, I'm
Nick?
easy. FM,
F?
Dave, Monkey, whatever you want.
Okay. What about D? The like your initials? Is that too close?
Uh, sh nah, you could use that.
Okay. What is your actual like your initial your work initials?
My work initials are FM.
Oh, it is FM.
Uh-huh.
We'll call you FM. We'll do FM. I like that.
All
So
right, let's do
FM
it.
is a air traffic controller at John Wayne, which is I geek out at that so much, man. I still think that is awesome. You may have heard him from such audio cues as
Cleared for the option.
and a fan favorite.
Ah, it's you guys again.
So he's a tower controller at John Wayne at a local airport, and we're going to be screwing around in Microsoft, just flying formation, doing some bush flying, and it's great to have FM here. His handle is Flying Monkey, and his I guess work initials are FM. So we'll just refer to him as FM or Flying Monkey, but I want to just, like, as we casually fly around, just kind of talk about flying and air traffic controlling, and we couldn't be further from that sort of environment here if we tried. But we won't, like, I mean, it's talking about work. Like, you're at home playing around on your computer. The last thing you want to do is talk about work. So
It's fine. It's
we
fine.
won't go super heavy into that, but it is cool to have a real world controller in our midst. So, oh, we have another friend here. Who is this? We don't know because not on voice, but that is cool. So yeah, feel free to join in. FM, you just blipped out of existence.
Oh, weird.
Are you still there?
Yeah. Well, at least I think I am. I'm still here. I still see you. I see the new guy
Interesting. Okay. Well,
who taxied into the bush.
hopefully it'll just pop right up. Yeah, I still see the new guy too, the Ken Moyer guy. All right, so I'm
Weird.
gonna take off. That
Yeah.
is Monster, so that's cool. Welcome, Monster. Yeah, I'm gonna just freaking ship it here. This is such a freaking short runway. I'm gonna go static at like a 45-degree angle takeoff here. See if
Oh
this
boy.
works.
Okay.
I think a lot of the bush flying in this Bonanza, the takeoffs are way sketchier than the landings. Oh god, this is not good. Gear up, flaps up. Man, this is pretty right here. Yeah, so there's like a little clump of trees that you can just kind of split. Are you rolling right now?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. I got
I'm
you
in the
inside.
air.
You popped back in. Sweet. So the other thing that I wanted to do with FM is do a little formation flying in between some of these little tiny bush airports. I think we'll have a better time with this scenery flying in formation than we did with the T-45s, because trying to do that in like over LA is a nightmare.
Yeah, that was pretty bad.
And somebody showed up in a jet. That is brilliant.
Perfect.
And this latest update actually made it easier to spot people from the air too, which is nice. All right, where'd you make it off to?
I think I'm off your right wing. I think that's you.
500.
Yeah, I'm just over the trees. Oh, I see it. Okay.
Yeah, I'm coming for you.
Wait. So do you want to try to land it at this?
I mean, I'm down to try anything.
Let's try. Let's try to land. Here, you know what? Let's do this. Let's do a join. Let's do a rejoin. So you're clear to rejoin. I'm gonna orbit over the airport, and let's see if we can get a nice little two ship. And I don't think we'll be able to do a break over this airport because there's just no room for it. But
Oh wow, you just desynced like across the map for me here.
you're looking good on mine. If that's you, are we counter to each other right now?
I was coming up right behind you, then all of a sudden you jumped to the other side of the bay for me, so I'm beam the dirt strip right now from where the departure end. Or I guess the rival end, actually. I'm turning back into you right here. And remember, everybody, I'm a controller, not a pilot. Don't judge me.
So how have you wanted to get your license?
I have, yes. It's been on my list for quite a while.
Yeah. So how many guys up in the cab have their private? I know AL has his. NR is like kind of slowly working on his, but not really.
Yeah, AL, I think there's only 2 others besides him.
So going through the academy and in the different places that you have controlled, is that a pretty common ratio?
Yeah, I would say it wasn't a very high ratio.
It seems weird to me. I don't know why. I mean, it's probably more of a time thing than it is a money or knowledge thing, I would guess.
Yeah, I'd say the biggest thing for me is the time. The whole 6-day work week thing doesn't really leave a lot of time.
Yeah.
All right, so every time I feel like I'm forming up on you, you jump to the other side of the bay here, so I'm not sure.
That's weird. What side are you on right now?
So for right now, I'm like a couple 100 feet behind you on mine. Trying to... Oh, and then you just jumped again.
Okay, yeah, oh, yeah, I see you. Yeah, it's a little bit jumpy, huh?
Yeah, every time I get close, you like take off about a half mile.
That's a cool shot there. Yeah, that's goofy. Yeah, it's a little jittery. Okay, well let's try.
Get your shit together, Microsoft.
Yeah,
500.
Let's try to land here.
Sure.
Okay, so gears coming down. 150 might be a little bit fast for this strip.
Which way are you landing?
I'm going to land opposite of the way we came in.
Gotcha.
This is the landing competition grip, and I think it's a 172 that they make you do this in, and even that is like sketchy as hell.
I feel like that would be easier.
Oh, it's way easier, but it's still sketchy.
I've barely flown this thing, so this is all new to me here.
So do you have is it just default, or do you have the modded version?
I believe this is just the default. I didn't download anything for this one.
Okay. The mod for this is one of the best GA flight sim planes I've ever flown.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the numbers are perfect. It's crazy.
Interesting.
Yeah. Whoever did that is pretty spot on. Okay, I am on a left base right now.
I'm rolling out right now. I'm on the ground.
Oh, you already landed it?
Oh, yeah.
Jeez.
So I don't fuck around.
No, you don't. Cleared for the option. Did you say that because you knew we were listening, or do you usually just say that?
I think I was annoyed when I said that.
Hello. Hi.
Down south, welcome. Ooh, that would have been such a sketchy rollout. Ooh, that's... Bonanza would have not been happy for that. That was actually way easier than I thought it was going to be.
Same. And I saw you put it in to the water off to my left wing, and then you resynced back onto the runway. So something's... I'm not sure if that's on my end then, or
Something's
if it's
a
just
little goofy.
Microsoft in general.
Yeah. Yeah, now I don't even see you on the...
Yeah, because it definitely looked like you put it in the water on mine.
That is hilarious. Okay, so maybe formation flying is not possible, but
yeah, maybe if, you know, we could still
there you go. You
field hop
popped
and...
back in. You popped back in there. Okay, so there's an airport on the other side of this bay that I think we should go check out. Point Graham.
All right. I'll do my best to follow you there.
All right. We'll let her rip. Have you flown with Arnold a good amount?
I have flown with him 0 times.
What?
He's a fake friend, man.
Dude, that is BS. So when was the last time you flew in a GA plane?
Almost exactly a year ago.
Wow. All right.
Yeah, with another friend of mine, a former controller from John Wayne, who's retired now.
Well, dude, we definitely have to go then. Arnold is claiming that he offered.
That's fake news.
That's hilarious. This is really, really pretty.
It's very pretty. Where are we? Alaska somewhere?
Yeah, somewhere in Alaska. I like these areas where there's like a pretty high density of small off-field little bush airports. It's really fun just to bounce from one to the next and just try to land at various airports. Idaho, there's that valley by Johnson's Creek that has a ton. That's really fun. And then San Juan Islands is good too.
Yeah, the San Juan one was pretty good. I did that with you. Oh, is this the field right here?
Yeah, this is really pretty.
500.
Oh, heck yeah.
I'm just going to do a left brake and dump her in here.
I was just going to say, this is full-on brake territory right here. Holy crap.
Doing it.
Let it do what it do. 500-foot brake.
This is a real short approach.
Yeah.
I misjudged this. Oh, Nelly.
What's up, Trek fan? All right, coming along. Did you make it down?
I'm on the ground.
Or did you spear it into the bushes over there? I see some nav lights at the approach end.
Whoa, it wasn't smooth. I might need to go to a chiropractor.
Ooh, 900 feet. That's way too high of a break. Oh, did you come in
Short
the other
final
direction?
runway 12.
That made me
I
why.
just taxied it back.
Sync rate.
Oh, I
Sync
got it.
rate.
Okay. All right. 7 Sierras in the break. 3, 2, 1, break.
We'll taxi to the other side.
155. Gear coming down. Ooh, that looks awesome. Flaps coming in. Coming final. Trim, 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 trim.
500.
Hey, monsters here.
Ooh, there's a tree right where I want to put the airplane. Ooh, that was nice. I'm happy with that. Sweet. Yeah, really, knowing how this plane lands and having this mod be so accurate makes it way easier to figure out how to put it down.
The mod, it changed the whole flight modeling too?
Yeah, just like a full-on changes everything. It's really nice. Okay, so there is another airport. If we just come out here and then hang a right and just follow the coast, there's another little inlet that we have a nice little airport at.
All right.
So after you, sir.
Oh, after me.
Yeah, I show you in front of me. Monster is rolling. Kenmore livery.
Approaching runway 30.
Thank you very much for flight.
Entered runway 30.
Don't need
2,000
that
feet
at
remaining.
all.
Which way are we heading now?
To the right. 70 and rotate. Gears coming up. Props coming
Circle back here real quick.
Oh, well, straight out to the right. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Like literally right here in this little bay?
No, it's on the other, like, just go out towards the larger bay here, and then this little peninsula to the right here wraps around. And there's another inlet just kind of like the one we were just in. Real deal, the update, this is my 30th minute with it, and so far it's great. Oh, my flaps are still down.
500.
Airplane man, hello. But yeah, it seems to be running pretty smooth. I haven't necessarily explored all of the patch note highlighted items.
Yeah, other than the network desync, it's running well for me as well.
And I don't know if that's an update problem or something else going on.
Yeah. I mean, we kind of had it the other night, but not this bad.
Yeah. Yeah, and that was definitely connected to my stutters. Arnold, have a great night.
Bye, Arnold.
Airplane Man just passed his instrument check right. Dude, congratulations. That is fantastic.
Nice.
Who is your DPE? Okay, I'm in trail. I have you in sight. You've been pretty solid right now, but I am in trail.
Okay. I was gonna say, once we left that first place, it has seemed like you've jumped around, or I've jumped around this.
Yeah, I saw when I said hang a left, I watched you in real time do it. Lynn Carlson, nice. How is she? Trek, so we're Monster is the guy jumping all over the place right there. And the voice that you're hearing is Mr. Flying Monkey, who is a controller at John Wayne. Yeah, it should be kind of to your 1 o'clock, maybe, low.
Let's see. Not yet. Maybe over this ridge.
Yeah, I've heard that Lynn is very, very thorough. Oh, I think I see it. It's the, by that little town right there.
See the little town just beyond it?
No, I think it's like in the town.
Oh, like on the waterfront here. I think I see what you're talking about.
500.
Hi, Cold Nebo. Dude, these little inlets are gorgeous. Let's see.
Oh, this is like an actual paved runway.
Where's the fun in that?
This one's fancy.
That's super nice. What are the winds doing? I don't even know. Like, what would be the coolest approach for this?
Oh.
Probably coming
Just making a
from the
left.
south.
I'm making
Or
a
from
left
the-
270 to final right here.
All right, I'm gonna stay to the east of final right now. Are you landing north or landing south?
Where's the compass in this thing? Oh, it'll be landing south, I guess.
Oh, I got you on final. Oh, that looks so cool. This is Seldovia. Yeah. Is that Russia in the distance? Alright, gears coming down, flaps are coming in. This is so cool being able to explore like this.
Yeah, for sure.
I can see my house from here. Yeah, I'm just talking with Flying Monkey direct on Discord. We have not been doing a good job at all, but I was half wanting to ask him a bunch of questions about controlling at John Wayne. All right, how about this? How about this one?
Sync
What is-
rate. Sync rate.
What is your shut up for flight? What is your biggest challenge at work on a daily
500.
basis?
500.
Biggest challenge. Let's see. I feel like, and this isn't scare or burn anybody that's currently flying out of John Wayne, but our biggest issue right now is I don't know if I want to blame the student pilots or if I want to blame the CFIs that are currently there. But I would say pilot training is one of the larger issues we have right now.
And specifically, how does that affect your job?
So we briefly talked about this the other night, I believe, but John Wayne's kind of a different animal compared to a lot of the airports that you fly in SoCal, right? There's a ridiculous mix of aircraft and pretty good volume.
Mm-hmm.
To the point where the training is now becoming an issue in that we are constantly having to repeat instructions 2 times, 3 times, 4 times before we're getting any sort of feedback. And I mean, you know how busy it gets there. When it's busy, we don't have time to constantly do that.
Yeah.
To every student that's flying in the pattern or inbound or out or whatever, because it takes our focus away from other shit we need to do.
Yeah.
Which is why I don't know if I would necessarily blame the students versus the CFIs, who should know that if they hear me repeating myself 2, 3, 4 times, maybe they should step in, handle comms for a second until they can get their stuff squared away.
Yeah.
Approaching runway 34.
It's tricky. It can definitely be tricky.
Entered runway 34. 2,100 feet remaining.
And it's all. And I was gonna say it's almost not fun. It isn't fun from the pilot perspective when we're in the midst of that kind of volume and craziness. By the way, in the takeoff here, if you kind of dog leg left, I mean, almost like the John Wayne departure, there's a little like cut out in the trees. You don't have to climb up as hard.
Okay.
That's awesome. It's the I mean, like, I get it from, well, here, okay. So when we had that pilot controller meeting last year, it was so weird to me when the flight schools would complain about the pattern being closed. And like, I get it. I got it initially, like, okay, yeah, that's really inconvenient. That sucks. I can see them complaining. I don't know if there's anything that anyone can do about it. And then I started to think about it more cynically, and knowing the people and entities that were involved and the ones that were complaining. And I was thinking, okay, so you have a flight school with $180 an hour 172s, and you're complaining that the pattern is closed. What would be an effective alternative to that? And immediately I'm like, well, duh, you go someplace else. So why is that not an acceptable alternative for, cynically speaking, a flight school that is overpriced? I would think, again, from a completely cynical perspective, they would be more willing to want to go someplace else.
Right.
You know, like, students are pretty much, unfortunately, way too willing to just take what their flight school and CFI says at face value without thinking about it critically. They could totally just pack up and go to Long Beach or go to French Valley or, heaven forbid, Corona. And you'd get better instruction time there.
Yeah, I tend to agree with you there. I would say most of us do. Again, I don't have my PPL. I haven't started in any form or fashion either. But to me, in the very beginning, flying pattern at John Wayne seems almost counterproductive when you don't know what you're doing and you're just getting thrown into that mix. I feel like going somewhere else, you know, call it one of those BFE towers, whatever, but to do pattern work there seems to me like it'd be more beneficial in the very beginning.
I agree.
And practice areas, obviously, because you're doing your maneuvers and shit like that too. But in the very beginning, it doesn't seem like John Wayne's the best place for a 0-hour student.
Yeah.
Hey,
I think so.
Whoa, buddy.
What now? Thank you very much for the 4-month subscription. Welcome to the stream. I had a very odd initial training scenario. It was really, really not typical. I soloed so quickly at John Wayne that it's just like I'm really not a good person to speak on that portion of it, because I think it can be done. I mean, I did it. I soloed there at basically 6 hours, just under 6 hours. And then did my cross country at 12 hours. But not everybody, prepared the same way. And most of my preparation was almost strictly the communication stuff and the airspace and regulation stuff. So having Pilot Edge was in, oh dude, this runway is tiny. I just picked it up. Oh my god. All right, this is gonna be brutal.
You just disappeared from me totally, so I'm trying to.
There's no way we're making this one.
Are you looking at this little strip in this little cove?
Yeah, there's like a little island thing.
Yeah, I see that. I don't see you though. You completely disappeared. I still see Monster, and I see Shaq even.
Yeah, it's just it's really spotty for some reason. I don't know what. It seems like the stream is really strong, so I don't know if it's like a.
I think it's just a server thing, honestly.
It must just be a server thing, yeah.
500.
Is today the first day? No, yesterday was. Yeah,
so yesterday or today, I don't know.
Yeah, I think they're all Tuesdays, but yeah, it must just be a overloaded server thing. But I mean, we're coming in and out. I see you guys now.
Yeah, I'm coming in from the ocean side here.
Trek fan, I will answer that question in a minute. I started out years ago at an uncontrolled airport, so I didn't even get to do radio work in 13 hours. Okay. I mean, that kind of fits in Trek to that question. So my dad was a pilot. He flew in the Navy and flew privately as well. So I was introduced to the idea of aviation pretty early. But it wasn't until I built my first computer 4 or 5 years ago and kind of reintroduced myself to flight simulation that I realized I had the time and the money to learn, and it prompted me to get my discovery flight, and then I just fell in love with it, and at that point I had no choice but to do it. So
it gets a little sketchy on short final there.
Dude, it looks freaking tiny.
Yeah, there's a little goalpost of trees you gotta clear if you're coming from the ocean side.
So cool. Yeah, I think the ocean side is the way to go, right? This thing
That's where I came from. I landed.
Yeah, this thing is so sketchy. Yeah, I think, and this, just like how what you said, not to point fingers or anything at anybody or any
500.
group. Dude, that is one sketchy runway. Oh my god. Oh, that's awesome. But it really feels like, because John Wayne is so unique that you almost have to teach the John Wayne pattern as its own thing, and that
Right.
doesn't. So, like, sometimes I think, you know, the instructors probably get caught up in the, like, okay, we're going to teach you how to do a pattern, and then as a added bonus or difficulty, we're going to have to throw in a bunch of caveats in how to fly a pattern at this particular airport. And I think that kind of slows down the and you could probably answer this too, like that, starting from the here's how we fly a pattern and then, oh, by the way, John Wayne does it this way, probably adds to the difficulties in the pattern, because the default is I'm gonna fly the standard p-hack pattern,
Right.
and that is what gets everything bogged down. And then once everything starts to slow down, then it starts to get busy, and then you're having issues.
Yep.
What's up, Flight? How's it going? Bitrate looks good. Yeah, I think it's the Microsoft server. Because of all the pattern work that I've done at various airports, whenever I go to John Wayne, even still, that pattern feels like its own thing. You know, it does not feel like, oh, I'm doing pattern work at John Wayne. It feels like I am doing John Wayne pattern work. And it's very, very different. Look, feel, procedures, everything is totally different from, you know, doing a pattern at Chino or French Valley and then going to John Wayne. It's just like a completely different thing. And as a result, oh God, poor Bonanza. Poor Bonanza.
Yeah, you made it.
Pilot Wiley, hello. Man, early night? It's only 11 and you're hanging out? Unless, I mean, that's a little bit flatter over here. Do you have the stream up on a big screen at some swanky Manhattan bar? Ooh, that was firm. You know, Tasmel, the A36 Bonanza has the same wing and gear as a T-34. So this is a Navy trainer wing and landing gear, and can handle an absolute pounding. So it's yeah, pretty robust, that's for sure. Yeah, I don't know, man. Like, because there are so many other airports that are close. Yeah, you're kind of like fading out, and like you just got blipped. Hi, Julia.
Oh yeah, I went into the menu, so it probably took me out.
Okay. Because there are so many options, I don't see the benefit in fighting the traffic.
Yeah.
Okay, there's that's a freaking big old Delta or Echo Airport. Where's some spiciness? Okay, I think we're gonna just continue along northeastbound here.
Sounds good. I'll follow you out.
All right.
Disappear.
Even Fullerton, like going to Fullerton, it's 8 miles away.
Right.
You know, like why would you not just go to Fullerton and do some pattern work there? We're gonna trim these trees. Oh God, dead, murdered.
Did you catch the trees?
Oh yeah. Did I have full flaps in? Yeah, I totally did. That was not smart. This thing likes to power through improper configuration.
Beautiful.
Wiley, is it the whole crew? Oh God. I will time you guys out if you don't behave, okay? Jesus. Yeah, aren't you a mod? Did I mod? I don't know if I modded you.
Me?
No, send nudes. No, my boss is trying to get himself banned from Twitch right now.
Ah, perfect.
Yeah. All right, so that is a really good answer. You guys are children.
We copied it red.
Yeah, you do need me next year to come so I can keep you fuckers in line. All right, so that was a great answer and probably a very specific answer. So from a like student pilot or private pilot, I mean really anybody, what is a repeatable issue that you face every day that isn't specific to John Wayne?
A repeatable issue.
Just something that you see all the time that you would not, from your experience, put as just a John Wayne issue.
I see.
Like more of a general thing.
Right. That's a good question.
Flight X, this is Flying Monkey, and he is a controller at John Wayne.
Howdy.
You may have heard him from such sound effects as
Cleared for the option.
and also
Ah, it's you guys again.
yeah, so like as a terminal controller, what is something that you would tell student pilots, any experience level to think about to make everyone's lives easier?
I think
Don't suck.
Yeah, don't suck, right? No, I feel like it's become more of an issue with some of the, call it folksy readbacks.
Interesting.
I get that a lot of us are pretty laid back, you know, on the frequency and stuff when we're not being completely annihilated by pattern work and whatnot, you know, for the most part. But yeah, you hear a lot, like, you know, for instance, like, you know, you taxi out the west side a lot. So if I'm departing you off the left, cross 20 right at Kilo, hold short right 20 left, right? A lot of the times I'm getting, you know, oh, cross the right, hold short of the left. Like, I know what you mean, and I know that you'll probably do what I told you to do, but it's like I'm required now to go back and verify the hold short instructions, right?
Interesting.
So I feel like that's becoming more of an issue.
Interesting.
Yeah, and that's not just here. I was having that issue at like Santa Barbara.
And obviously that's going to be more of a local pilot situation comfortable pilot situation.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah.
Wiley, what sword are you talking about? I don't have a samurai sword.
The
Do I
mod
have-
sword.
Do I have a sword? But I know what you mean. Like there's a like there's like a jivey kind of, you know, like cutesy thing, and I'm guilty of it sometimes as well.
Right.
You know, you shorten things up, or kind of like, hey, yeah, across the left, you know, whatever. Across the right, take off from the left, hey, kind of thing.
Hey.
I love midgets, Jesus Christ. I'm gonna call whatever bar you guys are at and tell them to stop serving you, that you're being inappropriate on the internet. Oh my god. So that example, you're missing the legal requirement for 20 left, 20 right.
Right. You saying hold short of the left or hold short of the right, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
And I know you're probably going to do it, but I can't legally accept that as a readback.
So does
And
that
it goes,
so you then have to ask for clarification?
yep, I
Which
would have to go back and
takes
verify
time.
hold short running 20 right or hold short running 20 left.
Okay, so that takes
Which
time. That's annoying. It's
Yeah.
busy. You don't
Which-
want to do that.
Yeah,
Does-
which again goes back to repeating instructions and taking time away from
Yeah.
what we need to do.
Okay. So is that the only not the only example, but is that an example of the only kind of cutesy readback that is, if it requires going back to ask for clarification, that's bad? If it's cutesy but actually does check all the boxes and becomes legally acceptable as a clearance or as a readback, it doesn't matter?
Right. Yeah, if it's cutesy, but you say what I need you to say, then sure.
So
We're
if I
good.
say in the
yeah.
box, like, that's annoying and dumb, but it doesn't
Yeah.
but it doesn't hurt anybody, and just kind of like whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the biggest one. There's another one, and I think this goes back to newer pilots as well. Know the difference between Roger and affirmative. Like, if I call traffic 3 mile final for 20 right, a Boeing 737 at 1,000, do you have it in sight? I don't want to hear Roger.
Okay.
That is a big problem that is getting bigger, I would say.
Interesting.
Because now I have to go back and be like, verify that's affirmative, you have the traffic in sight. Like, Roger doesn't mean yes, right? So
Wow. Okay. Which totally makes sense.
yeah,
That
but
I would have
why
never
that's an
thought
issue,
of that.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have never thought that was an issue. Okay, there's that little dirt. Oh, that landing strip looks
Ooh.
like it's closed and is
Yeah, I see X's. We point it down anyway.
really spicy. Hell yeah, we're going to send it.
All right, fuck it. Just sending left 270. Here we go.
I might be catching you here at some point. Oh yeah, I got you inside. Okay, so that is interesting.
Yeah, which again boils back to making me repeat myself, you know.
Yeah. Affirmative. Do you have the traffic in sight? Roger. That sounds weird.
Right.
So yeah, I would never. I don't think I would ever. Not, and again, not that like. I'm not saying this as like, well, I would never make that mistake. I would. It sounds so weird. I never would have thought that was a legal issue to say that, but it just sounds wrong.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I always say, well, Yeah, Cole Nebo, I do agree. I would usually say, if you said to me, 737 5 mile final report in sight, or do you have it in sight? I would say traffic in sight. That like I
Right.
that's how I always refer to that that call out. I would never say I would just never say affirmative.
But affirmative works, and I'll take that. I cannot take Roger.
Yeah, I know. And that's becoming more of an issue.
It is.
Weird. Okay. I'm
And
so
again, I feel like it boils. I think it goes back to lower time students, lower time pilots, whatever.
Yeah.
Which goes back to I feel like they're overburdened, starting in the pattern at John Wayne.
Yeah. And that's the part where I think it's because it's so different and you're already trying to relearn
500
patterns there, it starts backing up, and then those become bigger issues. If you're working on Ontario Tower and you've got like one airplane every 30 minutes, if someone says, yeah, Roger, like whatever, it's like you don't really care, because it's just like racing, like if you some complex string of turns, if you get one turn wrong, the next three are screwed up.
Yes.
It's like you get one. Oh, this is not a friendly.
No, it's very hilly.
Yeah. So you get one radio call screw up, and request to confirm turns into 1 Delta Bravo, right 360 for separation. I'll call your, extend your downwind. I'll call your base, blah, blah, blah. Then some guy, in a 152 is doing 60 knots all the way down to the numbers from Tustin. And then you're just like, son of a bitch.
Right.
Will somebody please go do pattern work at Fullerton?
And that's the last thing I want to do is start flying people's patterns for them. I don't want to have to call your crosswinds, your downwinds, your base turns because you can't handle it, But we have to keep you from going on that 3 mile downwind over the frickin' blimp hangars. Not because it only, not only does it stretch out our pattern, obviously, and slow everything down, but it becomes an issue when we're busy on the right side for wake turbulence, because once you turn final, I can't call traffic behind you for you to maintain visual separation from, and I can't have that jet legally pass you. So now I have to start sending people around and keeping you out there and flying your pattern all over again.
So how many go-arounds do you do for that reason? On the left, on the right side, how many airliners are sent around for that reason per day?
So I don't have to send the airliners around. I'm not sending Southwest around. I have to send you around.
Oh, got it. Okay.
On the left.
Okay.
And get you to like start an offset essentially, like.
Yeah. Okay.
Because you can't obviously maintain visual separation from something that you can't see.
Right. Okay.
So the further that downwind gets pushed out there, the more likely it is that you're going to get run over by a jet once you turn on to that 3-4 mile final.
Yeah.
When we're busy, if there's nothing else going on, then fine, you're just slowing down the pattern for no reason. But when we're busy, then it really screws stuff up.
So this runway is really fun on this little bit.
Is this a runway?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought this was just like a dirt bridge or
No,
something.
I think it's both.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
I think it is a dirt road, but it's also a private field too. Bradley Lake Hydroelectric Project Airstrip.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's hilarious. You know, Cold Nebo, it's really it is at John Wayne. That kind of stuff. It's just weirder. It's just weirder. How often do people fly the base leg over the 405? Airplane Man, it should be every person. It should be every.
Not enough.
It should be every single person. That's the only. Okay, so a little inside baseball, Airplane Man. The only reason why Brad and I are friends with any controllers at John Wayne, it's because we only fly within the 405. So we land, we get, hey, we have a phone number for you to copy. We call the phone number. They're like, hey, we love you guys. What's your Discord? We'll hang out there. That's the only way that this works.
Is that how that went down?
Yeah. Pretty sure, right? Beautiful
Sounds
short
right.
approach. Who's your name? All right. What's your Twitch handle?
Giving off that big Twitch energy.
Wiley, I freaking looked, you bastard. Yeah, so not to name names, but there is another dear friend of ours that does not mind the occasional non-standard clear or read back call or clearance call. When I've gone back, there's one in particular. It was actually. Yeah, it was the one with my dad when I flew with my dad for the first time and did that overhead break in the 172. NR was on the tower, and like super casual, and there was no runway number discussed in that clearance. It was just like clear to land. Can you do short approach from there? Yeah, short approach. Okay, short approach. Can I get a long landing? Long landing. Yep. Okay, long landing. Good. Like there was no mention of the runway at all. Listening back to it, it's like, ooh, that's a little.
Yeah.
Tower tours are not open yet. I will be waiting in line like, freaking new Star Wars movie. I was hearing the controllers on Pilot Edge tonight, and I could tell that they were trying to read handoffs to SoCal rapidly to each plane, so I tried to read back the frequency change as fast as possible because I knew they were waiting. So correct me if I'm wrong on this one. It's not about reading it off as fast as possible. It's about being accurate once. I think every controller would probably take pilots being a little bit slower but correct the first time than trying to read it off quickly. Is that true or false?
True. Because
Okay.
again, I don't want to repeat myself. I don't want to have to say again, because you just verbal diarrheaed all over my frequency and I don't know what the hell you said. So and it goes both ways. The number one thing I tell my trainees often, especially when they're like newer in the agency, is when you're busy, don't talk faster, just keep talking. Because, I mean, like I said, it goes both ways. If you have a controller that just starts to rattle shit off and jumble stuff up, you're not going to hear them. And you're either going to do what you think you heard, because you're too afraid to say again, or you're going to say again, and and goes back to everybody's having to repeat themselves now.
Yeah. Very, very, very good point. That is a really, really good point.
By the way, don't be afraid to say again if you don't understand what ATC told you.
Yeah.
I would rather know that you know what I told you versus you guessing what you thought I told you.
Oh, dude, this is so good, man. I know we're just like screwing around flying fake airplanes, but this is really, really cool. I love this. It's the same feeling that I got after that controller pilot meeting, where I just felt like it felt different. You know, you feel like you're part of a team because it is a very intimidating interaction, and I feel like because I have an added interest in it with Pilot Edge, and I find the interaction with ATC particularly interesting part of flying, that I kind of study it a little bit more probably than I need to or than most people do. But it even still, it feels like it's a relationship that can get difficult, unnecessarily difficult, really quickly.
Yes.
And I think when you have these conversations with a controller, it makes it clear that you're just guys, you know, you're just people, guys and gals, but you know, you're just people, no different than the pilots that have a job to do. And it's like if everyone's working together, it becomes super smooth.
Yes.
And it's then it turns fun. So I mean, I have fun. The most fun that I have with flying is the communication with ATC and the relationship between the communication and the handling of the plane and the flight plan stuff. It's fun to request things. It's fun. Like, half the fun to me about doing those stupid overhead breaks is that it's like a little, it's a barter, you know, if you will, with like ATC. It's like, hey, you know, can we get a break? Can we get an overhead break? You know, and like trying to work with you, like, okay, no, we'll hold over South Coast, or we'll wait. That's fine. And you know, it's like managing the scenario in something that's a little bit outside of the box, and I enjoy it so much. And I feel that these conversations where, you know, no matter how long you fly at an airport or fly in general, there's always something that a controller can tell a pilot, I feel like, that will make the pilot's job easier, the controller's job easier, and everyone else safer.
I like it.
Things got spicy at the end of the Cat 10 because of tower handoff came a little late. I was almost over the field when tower called me for a right downwind runway 20 right. Well, normally, yeah, and that's the biggest difference with, well, I would say that there's probably two differences in Pilot Edge within SoCal. The first one is traffic. Almost every instruction from ATC in SoCal, from en route to terminal, comes from or stems from traffic. So the only reason that we're landing on 20 left is because there's traffic. The only reason we're crossing over is because traffic. The only reason that we're being vectored over whatever the hell is because of traffic. So whenever Pilot Edge does not follow exactly what would happen in real life, it's 90% of the time because there's no traffic. The other thing is that when you have individual people doing, you know, controlling individual sectors or frequencies, there's more of a how do you put that? There's more of a motivation to get rid of you than Pilot Edge, where it's the same person. So the motivation to change you to a different frequency is almost zero because they're the same person. So, like, for Flying Monkey as the terminal controller, he's going to want to boot you off to SoCal as soon as he possibly can. So you're going to get radar contact, stay altitude, all right, contact departure 24/7 or whatever the hell. Like before you get
You should
to
know the frequencies.
24/7 isn't one, is it?
24/1.
24/1, 25/35, 28/1. I don't go north that often.
21/3.
21/3. Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's like the one that sounds like a ground frequency. So they want to get rid of you as soon as possible. So a lot of the like confusion on Pilot Edge can come from, you know, like for example on the Cat 10 when you're going Camarillo to John Wayne, you're on with approach, and you're inbound from Huntington Beach Pier. SoCal is going to send you to John Wayne Tower before you even get to the pier, almost every time. Pilot Edge might leave you until, you know, IKEA or something. So, like, you know, because they don't really care. It's the same person. You know, you're still being controlled. Would you say that? Would you say that's accurate?
That's accurate. To be fair, SoCal gives us late handoffs all the fucking time. So, for instance, just, I don't know, 2-3 weeks ago, I had American land on the runway without ever talking to him.
No way.
Yeah.
Dude.
It was later at night, so I didn't have anything. I made a few calls when he was like 5-mile final, then I tried again at 3-mile final. Typically, I would call approach, be like, hey, can you try this guy again? But I had nothing going on. I was like, well, he's either going to land or go around. I got nothing going on, so let's see what happens. And he just landed and called ground.
Oh my God, are you serious?
Yeah.
Did he get a phone number?
No. Ground was like, hey, Tower was looking for you. Do you hear him at all? And I think he figured it out. So he called me on local while he's taxiing to the gate, and he's like, hey, Tower American such and such radio check, how do you hear me? Like, I was like, I hear you, you know, just want to make sure we didn't have any issues. I think he was worried about getting a number, but...
Whoa.
But it happens. SoCal will give late handoffs all the time to us. You know, they're 3-mile final, whatever.
Yeah.
It happens.
That is so funny. Another plane, I think, responded and didn't catch who it was. Controller. Okay, yeah, I got it. Got it, Cold. Yeah. Let's see. Biggest difference between real life and Pilot Edge is so much
500.
more traffic. Yeah. Yeah. How does Flying Monkey feel about practice approaches?
Practice approaches are fine as long as you understand that I will 9 out of 10 times have to move you to the left runway if you're planning a full stop.
Yeah.
Either because SoCal put a jet with 150 knot overtake behind you, or I have a lineup of jets waiting to depart.
Yeah. What do you have? Do you have a standard? Distance or altitude for the sidestep?
So I will basically tell you, like, Cessna 176, continue approach to the freeway, at or prior to the 405 freeway, change to runway 20 left, runway 20 left, clear to land.
You would use that tail number.
Did you just do a touch and go?
I did, yeah.
All right, rolling.
I'll circle back and try to grab you. You landed in front of me, I'm assuming.
No, I landed behind you.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah, so I just lifted again. Yeah, I'll use the 405 as like the point of reference for you to make your change to.
Okay.
Unless you're really, really about to get run down, then I'll tell you to move now, but...
Hold Nebo, by the way, that
Yeah.
VP caught me by surprise. I panicked and thought, I don't know where Huntington Beach is. Then I remembered, no, I just saw Bill's awesome Blue Angel video. There's Huntington Beach. That's really cool. That is really cool. But you know what? That is a really good segue as well, I think, and a good point that it's sometimes hard from a pilot's perspective when you're planning a flight to someplace new to, you know, we're obviously required to have all of the information for a flight, you know, before we leave.
Right.
But let me know how my audio sounds. I mean, you too, Flying Monkey, but on the stream, this is a new mic, and I just want to make sure like the location and everything is good. So if it's like too loud or too low, whatever, just let me know. But how, as from controlling, let's say like just the differences between, well, have you only controlled at Santa Barbara and John Wayne?
LA.
Jesus, that's right. I think I just ran out of fuel.
Isn't there like a quick refuel button or something?
There is, yeah. I like never switch the tanks on this plane because I never go that far. But yeah, I did run out of fuel.
I should probably do the same.
Yeah, I just switch tanks. It's not a both; it's a left or right. But okay, so John Wayne, like I did a video a while ago about visiting John Wayne, and it ended up being like a freaking 2-hour, 3-hour long like explanation of how to get there, Mile Square, Huntington Beach, Signal Peak, Lake Irvine, 405, the crossover the tower, the offsets, the FBOs, the departures, clearance, all that stuff. Like it's all, there's a lot of stuff that is unique about flying into John Wayne. How does that fit in to, like when somebody transient is coming in, that's unfamiliar with the area, unfamiliar with the airport, what percentage from the controller's perspective do you put on the pilot to be prepared for coming in versus what you expect to have to spoon feed them, and do you wish it could change in some way?
I mean, it's a real high percent of what I'm expecting you to know before you come in. You know, NOTAM wise, TFR wise, weather wise, all that shit. Like, don't come in, you know, when the fog layers are in, you know, in the June time and stuff, and you come in from the IE somewhere where it's clearing a million, and you come to John Wayne, and I tell you, or I ask first when you call inbound, and I'm like, do you have the ATIS? And you say yes, and then I say request, and you say, oh, I want to land, and I say unable. I don't want to have to go through that song and dance with you because you don't know what's going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because that does happen quite a lot. I get it. We're in SoCal. It's clearing a million the majority of the year. But when it's not, I expect you to know it's not.
How about for particular things that might be on an ADF or remarks that a transient pilot could miss? Like, for instance, Huntington Beach Pier, or the departures, or like that kind of stuff where it's like it's particular, or the offsets.
Okay, so starting with the inbounds, it goes back to, if you don't know what ATC is telling you, ask them to clarify. If you don't know where the pier is, ask where the pier is. I get calls all day long from SoCal that says, hey, Cessna 176 is inbound. They'll put you on a vector, usually is what'll happen. They'll request a vector with me that I will approve, and then you're my control once I get you. So they'll put you on a heading. Let's say you're coming in from Huntington Beach, right? But you don't know where the pier is. They're going to put you on, like, let's say a 030 heading and hand you off to me. If you don't know where you're going or what you're looking for, just let ATC know, and we can work around that. We can either point it out, like it's the big ass pier with the bright red building on it in front of you, or just fly a heading and tower will vector you in, kind of thing. So I get that, like if people are flying, people flying in from Arizona or whatever, they're not familiar with the area
Sync
and
rate.
stuff. I get
Sync
it.
rate.
Yeah.
But it goes back to, if you don't know what you're being told, then let me know, let approach know, whoever you're talking to, let them know. As far as like not knowing the offsets for the pattern and stuff, I don't know if you've been on frequency, but it's said quite often, like, hey, on the upwind, make sure you start your left or start a left turn 15 degrees immediately. And we'll say it's for offset for wake turbulence for jets on the right and stuff like that. Again, new students are very prone to that because, yeah, you just learned what a pattern is, and now you're flying a completely different pattern.
Yep. Wolf to fear. Well, let's finish that thought first before Flying Monkey another question.
Did I have some?
Well, like,
think
what
that was
is
it.
like? Is there? So I look at it from as a pilot, this perspective. I mean, obviously, number one is the safety part of it. So I want to make sure that I have read all the remarks and know what's going on for safety's sake. The other side of it is I want to be given every single advantage by the controllers as I possibly can get. Like in those overhead brake scenarios, like I want to be able to request shit like that and have the controller be like, oh yeah, sure, like you want to do an overhead brake, yeah, knock yourself out, dude. I want that as a pilot, to have the freedom. And from one thing that I learned from Brad really early on is, if you speak controller, you're more likely to get certain things that other pilots wouldn't get. So if I'm inbound and I don't know what the pier is, or like if I'm going to Burbank or Whiteman and I don't know what 4 stacks is, like that's fine. Like it's not fine. Like it's understandable. It's not really that big of a deal. It's easy to miss. Okay, well, I'll just give you a vector and be done with it, no problem. But if I go in there and say, hey, how's it going? Yeah, 4 stacks, cool, and nail it and understand what's going on, and say, hey, can we get a shortcut over Van Nuys? Like, I don't want to have to go around, or whatever. I'm more likely to get some considerations if I come prepared, basically.
Yeah, if you sound like you know what you're doing, you are more likely to, get away with other things or ask for other things.
Yeah, okay. And do you guys consciously, I mean, it sounds like you do consciously make that decision?
500.
100%.
Yeah.
I mean, it's easy to tell. You've heard people on the radio that just sound completely lost, that don't know what they're doing. And they can ask me for stuff, but I'm probably not going to give it to them.
Yeah. Happily.
Yeah.
No, we're gonna make this one a full stop for you guys. Thank you for playing along. Oh my god, that's really funny. Okay, so Wolf to Fear says, what's the one most important piece of advice you would give to a new controller?
To a new controller?
Yeah.
Well, like I said earlier, what I find myself telling most of my trainees, and I've been doing this for 13 years now, what I find myself telling my trainees the most is, when you're busy, don't talk faster, just keep talking. because inevitably, if you start to rattle out control instructions, you're going to come across a pilot that just doesn't know what you're saying, especially at John Wayne where I'm at. There's a lot of low time students there. I can't throw an instruction out there, with like 5 different pieces of information in it and expect them to get it, especially if I'm rapid firing it. They're not going to know what I said. They're going to ask me to say it again, and now I have to waste time saying it again. Whereas if I had just said it at a normal rate of speech, clearly and concisely, they would have got it. It's all about making your life easier at the end of the day, but it's also making the pilot's life easier too. It's a team sport at the end of the day. But yeah, whatever you can do to make your life easier, you should probably do that.
That's awesome.
I mean, I had it's one of those things. Like I had it was a bizjet pilot. He was picking up a clearance to like Salt Lake or Sedona or something like that, but it was a full route because they were being rerouted for weather, so I had to read him a full route, and I read it at a normal pace. I didn't rush through it, and at the end he's like, hey, thanks for reading that, like, slowly so I could get everything down. I was like, and I told him it's on the frequency. I could probably go find it on the tape somewhere. It's just like, I don't like to repeat myself, so as much as I can help that, that's what I'm gonna do. Like, that's awesome. That's the truth. The less time you spend wasting repeating transmissions over and over and over, the better off you're gonna be.
Yeah. Pasmel, we're going to Lowell Field, 00 Alpha Kilo.
Did you land here? Am I just sitting on the ground?
Yeah, I took off. Are you on the dirt?
Geez.
Are you on the anchor
I'm on this
point?
very grassy field, whatever this is.
Okay, with the people's front yards that Pilot Wiley is offended that I land. I think that actually from the air it looks like a air park.
It does, but I'm lifting off from there right now.
Okay, I'll circle back. All right, I have selfish questions to ask you as a John Wayne pilot. Okay, I'm gonna try to think of from the beginning. Some of this stuff is clarifying, and some of it is like I want to stamp out some jivey stuff, and some of it might be I want to add jiviness to it because I want to feel like I'm cool. So any inside information going back to like, hey, if I can speak controller, I can get away with more stuff. So starting from clearance, when I request a clearance, in my head, I have planned out how I want to depart. So I will ask, and especially it's usually on the San Diego flights, because I think technically the El Toro is the better departure if you're going to San Diego. Like, it's technically shorter and more direct route, but I like going along the coast. So I specifically ask for, flight following to Montgomery via Newport departure at 2500 or whatever. What is the feeling in the cab of the requests of those departures, and how important or not is the name, and does that say anything about the pilot to you guys if they do know the name?
Well, let's see. Clearance. Well, while we're talking about clearance, let me get this out of the way first. Don't call. I can't talk right now. Don't cold call clearance delivery out of the blue and rattle off your whole request.
Okay. So John Wayne, and this is like unanimously in the tower, you guys do not like cold calls.
Yeah, like if there's nobody talking, I get that you're like, oh, they're not busy right now. There's a lot of time, especially on clearance delivery, when there's like weather out towards the mountains and stuff, when we're doing all these reroutes and stuff, where we're dealing with that stuff, off frequency, obviously. I'm working on a bunch of reroutes and stuff. I'm working on release times and all that. And so when you call me out of the blue and just rattle off, oh, Cessna 53176 Westside Parking, requesting Newport departure to Montgomery Field, with ATIS whiskey or whatever, like,
Yeah.
I'll catch most of that, but I'm probably not going to get all of it. And now I'm angry, and you'll probably hear me call you back with an attitude to say again, because, again, I don't like wasting time on frequency. So just do your standard call, John Wayne Clarence, Cessna 176, and wait for me to call you back. I'll either get to you right away or I'll tell you, stand by 1 second. That's usually what I'll say. If I really want to let you know what's going on, I'll tell you I'm, working on reroutes or whatever, but I figure you don't care. I just tell you to stand by. But to your question, it does help if you tell me you want the El Toro or the Newport. For us in the tower, we're automatically, like, if you just call up and say, I want to go to Montgomery or Brown or Lindbergh or whatever, I'm going to put you on the Newport, because 99% of the time, that's what people want to do. They want to fly down the coast to San Diego.
Yeah.
The only one I'll really ask is like Ramona, because that's about a 50-50 split. Some people do want the El Toro, some people want the Newport. But stuff like Chino and Riverside, it's kind of a toss-up. You could go on the El Toro, you could go on the Orange Departure.
Yeah.
So I'll usually ask, if you don't tell me and you just say, I want to go to Chino or Riverside or something like that, or Corona, I'll ask you, do you want the left turn or the right turn?
Okay. So it is,
because I'm not gonna make a guess, because usually what happens is I'll just assume you want the El Toro, I'll redo the El Toro, and then you're gonna be like, actually, can we get the right turn? So
okay.
again,
So
that goes back to me wasting time.
Yeah. So awesome. Okay. So I guessed correctly on that one. When I do call up on that initial call up, 53176 VFR Departure Request, like, that's all we need.
Yeah, that's fine. And just wait for me to call you back. I'll either say request or stand by.
Okay. So is that the preferred phraseology for that? Is there?
I would say that is I would say that's preferred. Yeah.
Okay. So VFR Departure Request. Second question regarding that. So if I call up now, clearance, Cherokee 83364 VFR Departure Request. Whatever, say request. So when I make that request, I usually, what I've been doing is just say, Cherokee 83364, flight following to Montgomery 2500 via Newport departure, we have Echo. Do you need the, Papa Echo 28 or Papa Alpha 28 slant uniform? How often do you need that portion on those VFR departures?
Like, if you're a Cherokee, I'm putting you into the system as a P-28A. If you say Cherokee,
Yeah.
If you've got retractable gear, you better tell me you're an Arrow. In the grand scheme of things, is it a huge thing? No. But what that means is when you're coming into, so say like I have a Cherokee you're coming back to John Wayne. You're tagged up on my scope as a Cherokee, but really you're in 5352 Delta, which is an Arrow, right? I know that, so I will verify that. But if you're somebody I don't know, if it's a new aircraft, whatever, and you're tagged up as a Cherokee, in my head, your gear are down welded. I'm not going to be necessarily thinking, I need to check if this guy's gear is down, right? Whereas if you're tagged up as an Arrow, now I know, okay, I'm going to look for this guy's gear when he gets closer, kind of thing. If I have to, sort of thing. I'm not always looking, but I'm definitely not looking if, you're tagged up as a fixed gear aircraft. But
performance-wise, there's not much between the two, but it's a systems thing that knowing that I have retract is a extra safety feature for me as the pilot. Frankly.
Yes. That's basically what it boils down to. Yeah, it's not necessarily a performance thing, because you're not really gonna track any differently in our system, being
Yeah.
one or the other. It's more end of the road, like, you know, our final check kind of thing. But yeah, just Cherokee, Skyhawk, Dakota, you know, Cutlass,
500.
Skyline, whatever.
Yeah.
Your standard names like that usually suffice.
Okay. So, and then if I am not for VFR traffic, how important or not is the equipment suffix?
Not very, because you're all going in a slant uniform essentially.
Oh, okay.
So
Wow, I didn't know that.
it helps, yeah, because you know you're flying VFR. We're not giving you point-to-point guidance. Basically, you're just doing your own thing, and we're there for traffic advisories, right?
Yeah.
But what was I going to say?
Does it make
Yeah,
it
obviously it matters. It matters when you're doing IFR, or if you need a pop-up IFR, like wherever you're going, the layer moved in, and now you need to pick up an IFR or whatever.
Yeah.
We're gonna ask you. Well, en route will ask you, you know, what's your equipment suffix, because now they got to make sure that's right.
So if you depart VFR and the marine layer comes in, and now we have to pick up a pop-up to get into Montgomery, does it make it any easier down the road if I say, hey, we're slant Gulf from departing VFR? Does that equipment suffix follow the strip to SoCal to make that easier, or are they going to ask anyway?
They'll ask if you're in there as the default slant uniform. If I do put you in as a slant Golf right off the bat, yes, it does technically make it easier for approach to switch you over to IFR. It's, you know, like one less entry basically.
Okay.
Is it a huge deal? No, not really.
Okay. So VFR Departure Request, call up. Nice. Cherokee 83364, Skyhawk 5364 Kilo, VFR Gillespie, Newport Departure. That's enough.
That's basically all I need, yeah.
Okay.
I don't need your altitude. I don't give a shit about the altitude, because
No, you don't.
I'm going, yeah.
Oh, I thought that altitude was supposed to follow SoCal to SoCal. You do
So
not.
I don't. The only time we need your cruising altitude is when you're leaving the SoCal area, when you're getting anything but that 02 code VFR.
Uh-huh.
So like if you're going to Santa Barbara,
Yeah.
you know, San Luis, something like that, then I'm going to ask you your cruising altitude. Unless you tell me you're doing special flight rules, because if you do special flight rules, you just go in as a 02 code, and you know you get terminated before you hit the corridor, and then you pick up on the other side.
What about coastal? What about coastal route? If I'm taking the coastal route to Santa Barbara,
Coastal route, then I will put you in for the
65. You just put in
Ford.
65.
yeah, I'd put in 65. You'll get a non-02 code that you carry with you the whole way, because you're receiving constant flight following.
Yeah. Right. Wow. Okay. I did not know that at all. I assumed that was passed off, and like I never thought about it too much. But whenever I would be asked to confirm cruising altitude, I'd be like, "Man, I already told the dude."
Right. Yeah, because we don't put it in there. You can tell us, but we're not going to put it in because it's not an entry for the local VFR flight following. It's just we don't put it in there.
Okay. All right. That is really, really interesting. You are like spazzing out below me right now. That's funny.
Yeah, I just formed up on you, and then I think you shot behind me, or I shot forward, or something.
That is really interesting. Okay, so we don't need altitudes if it's local. If we're going further, we might need that. You do put in Bravo transitions when it's when one's being used.
Yeah, so if you're doing like the Coliseum, you know, we'll put your altitude in for that. But if you're doing special flight rules, since you're going to terminate prior to the corridor anyway, you're just going to get that local code, the 02 code.
Okay. All right. So when I call up ground, I say I give the ATIS most of the time.
Well,
and then,
Clarence should be the first one to make sure you have the ATIS.
right. Yeah. Which I do. Like,
yeah, because if you don't tell me on that initial call, like, oh, with information Bravo or whatever, after you give me your readback, I'll usually end it with verify ATIS Bravo safe parking.
Yeah. That okay, so that's a good point. That's I do add that with clearance. So clearance Cherokee A3364, blah blah blah. And oh, you know what? I might add it at the end of my readback usually. So I'll say, you know, on departure left 150 out of below 2,400, departure frequencies on 21.3, squawk 0233, Cherokee A3364. We do have Bravo or parked at J's.
That works.
Okay.
Except to be 24-1.
24.1. Do you want, would you, does it matter where you give that ATIS and parking, or as long as it's...
For me, no. I can't speak as to the other controllers, but I can't imagine it being that big a deal as long as you give it somewhere.
Yeah. I'm gonna do a touch.
Oh, is this actually paved right here?
Sync rate.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Sync
do a
rate.
touch and go.
Oh, I'm just gonna circle it.
It might be gravel. I don't know how they depict it. It looks like it's like unmarked. I mean, it is paved in my, like, the sim is depicting it as paved, but
Right.
it looks like it might not be actually paved, given the surroundings. That McKinley out front, we might be taking off. Departure might be pointed right at McKinley. That is red.
Oh, out there in the distance.
Yeah, I don't know if that is or not, but or Denali or whatever.
The big ass mountain.
The big ass mountain. All right, so when I call up ground, I just say Cherokee A3364 information Bravo at J's taxi. That's all I say.
Sounds good to me. When you tell me that, I'm going to then say, you know, taxi tower ramp via Bravo.
Yep.
If you're ever in an aircraft or you did a run up in the ramp or whatever, and you don't need a run up, tell me that.
Yep.
When you call for taxi.
Right. Negative run up.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that you guys default to that. Is that an SOP thing or is that an FAA thing?
That's a very good question. I think it's SOPX. I don't think it's required, like, for the handbook. All right, so if you look at your 8 o'clock real quick, am I there or? Oh,
No, I may not be looking exactly where you're at. Yeah, I don't see. No. Oh yeah. Hello.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes, you are very much tucked in there. I'm like looking out like on my 45 and like, nope, you are tucked in there playing with my my VOR antenna. Oh, that looks sick right there. You've done this before.
Right. Although it's starting to stutter again, so now I don't know where I'm actually at.
You've been solid on mine.
Okay.
Does it make any difference if I say taxi versus ready to taxi?
No, not to me.
Yeah. One's coming left. All right, do the run up. Finish run up. 176, continue. Is that fine?
Yeah, continue, ready to continue, run up complete.
No difference between any of them.
Nah, no preference, no difference.
All right, now the question that I have been wanting to get an actual answer on, and you're gonna like laugh because it's so insignificant and stupid.
Oh boy.
I'm taxiing down Bravo. I get told by ground to monitor tower on 26.8. I say, that sounds fantastic. I switch over to 26.8, and one of three things happen. Well, one, it's contact, like it's either contact tower or monitor tower. So if it's contact tower, depending on where I get, Tasmel, thank you, and hello, Stan. Depending on where I get that from, if it's, so if it's contact, depending on where I get it, if it's early, if I'm like, by the fire station, I will call up tower and say tower 176 on Bravo, and then it's whatever. If I'm further down the road, I may just wait until I'm holding short to just make it a holding short call. So does all that check out?
Yeah.
Okay. If it's monitor tower, I try to obviously be as situationally aware as possible. So I pull up, and what I had been doing early is when I would be waiting, when I would stop at the runway, no matter what, I would call up and say 176 holding short. It took a few times of like, Roger, or all right, to realize like, I don't need to say anything.
Correct.
So what is your preference, or the tower's preference, for the monitor tower, and I'm now holding short?
All right. So I'm everybody's different controller wise. I'm like 100% monitor tower kind of guy.
When you're ground or when you are tower?
When I'm ground.
Oh,
when
okay.
I'm ground. My instruction will be monitor tower 126.8, 119.9, or whichever one you're going to. The majority of people, I would say, we use monitor when it's busy, because we don't want you calling us when we're busy and keying up. Cessna 176 approaching runway 20 right at Kilo. We're ready to go. We're Newport departure. Blah blah blah. You hear those calls on radio.
Oh, they really repeat the departure on tower.
Yeah, when that second or that 10 seconds that you're calling me now, eating up my frequency, is when I needed to be clearing Southwest, sitting on the runway for an immediate departure, because there's another one on a 2-mile final. So when you're given monitor tower, just monitor tower. We will call you when we're ready. We know you're there. We can see you. We have your strip in front of us. We will call you when it's your turn to be called. When you're given monitor tower, we can hear obviously what ground is saying. When I'm working local, I can hear ground. He's right next to me. I can hear him tell you monitor tower 126.8. So when you get to the runway and call me, that's when you get the Roger. Like, why the fuck are you calling me? I just heard him tell you monitor. So monitor, right? Now, I will say there are times if you do get monitor and you don't see anything, you haven't heard anything, then yeah, sure, call, because maybe we're distracted,
right? And that's kind of what I wanted the clarification, because there have been times where it appeared like I was forgotten. and which is totally fine. I mean, it like I'm so used to that on Pilot Edge too. You know, you're like request frequency change or airport in
Right.
sight as you're on a half-mile final, and they still have you on approach. So that never bothers me. I don't want to bother the controller unnecessarily. So I need to err more on the side of when I'm told to monitor tower, even if I'm holding short, like just chill there. They like.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
It's like sometimes we wonder if you guys have windows or look out your airplane at all, because you'll call us at the runway and there's somebody sitting in the slot, or there's somebody like on a 100-foot final in the flare, you know, like, and you're calling me ready to go. Like, okay, what do you want me to do with that information? Like,
Yeah.
you can't go anywhere. Shut up right now, right?
And
Like,
that is okay. So this is awesome. The way that I have thought about it or treated it is more reflexive. Even if I do see that traffic right there, it's almost like a tick that I am holding short, and it's like a misplaced it's almost like a regulation that doesn't exist. Like I feel like, okay, I have to say something. I'm not expecting to go when I have done that, and I do get the like Roger, like I know that I'm waiting. I can see the Southwest on the 4-mile final. I can see the Gulf Stream that's like raring to go in between on Lima. I'm just like, okay, I'm here. Like, I'm in line. Like, that's how I'm not saying that like as an excuse or like a justification for it, but like from my perspective, when I have done that or heard it done or seen it or whatever, it's more of the like, you know, okay, we're here, and you know, whatever you want me to do, let me know. So that, like, knowing that from your perspective up there, it's more of a like, that is an annoyance. That is like a, yeah, like, okay, great. I know you're there. I can see you. I have eyeballs and binoculars. And the guy that told you to not call me is sitting right next to me. So, shut up.
essentially, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, I can kind of
500.
forgive it, like if you are number one at the runway or whatever, and you find a break and you check in. What really
Short final runway 01.
upsets anybody is like when you're number 3 and you tell me you're there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I don't give a fuck. What do you want me to do? Like, cool story, bro.
Yeah, and that, like, the only time I ever do call up is when I am number 1. Like, you know.
Yeah. As it should be. I don't want to hear your number 2, 3, 4, 6. Like,
yeah.
Cool, you're number 6.
Yeah.
You're gonna be waiting.
Okay. And I think, and again, even in those situations, I really would bet, not to speak for too many people, but I would assume that the assumption is not that that means that, oh yeah, you're going to send me in front of that, you know, that jet suite, you know, on the 3-mile final. It's more of a like the call when you're leaving the runway. You know, I've landed, I've pulled off. I wasn't given any instruction by tower, you know, while on the runway. Like, it's you cross over the threshold, you stop, you turn the strobes off, and then say clear 20 right at Foxtrot. Like, it's that level of reflexive. Like, I have hit a portion. I have hit the point of I cannot proceed. I am going to check in. But that's not the case.
No.
Okay. Dude, that's badass. That makes me want to like go fly.
Approaching runway 19.
While we're talking about exiting runways,
Entered runway 19.
This is
2,400 feet remaining.
probably more pertinent to John Wayne, but for those that fly into any semi-busy airport, don't exit the runway and then like start going through a full checklist right there or something, you know, because especially at John Wayne, like say you land 20 left, you know, and you're parking at ACI or executive hangars, you exit the runway at hotel, you're sitting there, I'm expecting you to call me, because sitting between the runways at hotel is somebody crossing that also needs to park at the east side, right? And now you're blocking that exit and you've essentially shut down the left runway. So there's also that, I guess goes into awareness.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, of what's going on.
Yeah.
So we do expect, especially at John Wayne, when you're exiting the runway, we do expect you to be calling ground fairly soon after you get off the runway there.
Yeah. Or tower, you mean?
Well, if you're this is like if you're landing. If you're exiting the runway, like I said, you don't know if you're blocking that taxiway behind you from somebody that's trying to cross behind you. And now you've
okay. So you're saying like when
like,
the tower, when you're like when you're still rolling out and then tower says 176 turn right at hotel, contact ground. You're saying when you're told to contact ground, get off the runway and contact ground and then sort shit out.
Yes, because more familiar for you. If you land on the right and you turn right off at hotel to taxi your west side parking, there could be somebody between the runways at hotel that previously landed on the left runway that also needs to go to the west side.
Yeah.
And you sitting there going through a landing checklist or whatever, you know, checking your drawers if you had a rough landing, like you're blocking that taxiway or that runway exit now. And if the other controller has already crossed that airplane behind you and they can't get by you, you've shut down the runway essentially.
Yeah.
If they can't clear, you know, so
I have to, I haven't made the video yet. I don't know if it's even on. I don't know if I recorded it.
There's an Airbus flying out here with us.
Upside down, yeah. That looks,
yeah,
that's
that doesn't look
unrecoverable
good.
right there. That's not going to be good. And there he goes.
F's in chat.
Yeah. So this is, I am going to brag a little bit about my situational awareness, and this is not going to sound like it's that big of a deal, or like it's going to sound probably more obvious than I felt it was at the time. But I landed, I got off at, I got off pretty early. I think I got off at hotel. I take that back.
Okay.
I got off at hotel. I crossed at hotel. So I landed on the left side, cross hotel, parked down at Jay's. A Baron had just pulled off at Foxtrot, I believe, or Juliet. Fuck, I don't remember. What's the middle? So hotel's the end of 20 right and Juliet's in between.
Well, hotel's the end of the left runway, which is about halfway down the right.
Yeah, okay, that's right. Yeah. So I exit off at Juliet so I land on the left side, get off at Juliet, which if you're in a freaking trainer and you can't make Juliet, god damn it. Like I've had to go around so many times where I'm just like, exit, use the brakes. Just like that happened a couple times, drove me crazy. I dropped a couple of F-bombs.
Oh, trust us, it drives us crazy too.
Oh my god, yeah, because you don't want people going around as much as, you know.
You're in a 172. You don't need to be aero braking down my fucking runway.
Yeah, no kidding. Aero braking. Oh yeah, just let it roll to hotel. Okay, so I'm off at Juliet. I cross the right side. I'm heading down Juliet. This Baron, I think landed on the right side, so he got off at hotel. and goes to ground, and I can hear him on ground, and he was like, we're taxiing to Jay's maintenance. And as soon as I heard Jay's maintenance, my ears perked up, and I was like, okay. And he was like, is that just like down, like we don't know where that is? And I was like, fuck. I know that my parking spot, the front of the maintenance hangar is on my aisle. So I'm passing the Baron, and I'm like looking back. I'm looking behind me through the window, and Julie's like, what do you keep looking at? I was like, this Baron. So I looked behind him just to see where he was, and I could hear him saying like, okay, is in Jay's is like just, he's like, the ground controller kind of like interrupted him. Was like, yeah, it's just like south or northeast parking or southeast parking, and you'll see it. It's on the right hand side. I was like, that's fucking terrible instructions. So yeah. I get on.
To be fair, we don't know exactly where all that shit is. Like, what road to turn down, all that stuff.
And even more, to be fair, there's no real way to indicate where to turn off. Like, they're not; those aisles aren't numbered. So even if you knew where they were, there's not really a good way to, like, I don't know, turn right after the Gray Mooney. So I heard that, knowing that if I pull into my aisle, this Baron is going to be right behind me, and this is going to be a mess. So I go on ground, and I said, hey, the Baron, I'm parked in the same aisle as you. I'll move over and let you go. Or I think I said it to ground. And ground was like, okay, yeah, there you go, Baron. The Cessna in front of you is going to move to his right. Pass him, or move to his left, pass him on the right. So I told Julie, I was like, that's airmanship right there. We're now fully situationally aware and are going to make everyone's lives easier. Turns out, like, the guy that owned I think it is Jay, had his Tesla Model X, and he was like flashing his brights at the guy, like they were clearly waiting for him.
Oh yeah.
To make that turn, but that was long story to display that just because you've landed, it doesn't mean that you can't help yourself and other pilots by just being aware of who's around you. And it's really tough at John Wayne too, when you've got like 3 planes at hotel, in the midfield run up, and it's like it can be a mess where you are focusing on your landing and not like who's holding short and where and why. But it's important to be listening on the frequency to hear what's going on.
Yes.
Which is extra hard too when you've got the split frequencies, that guy on hotel in between the runways, he might be on with local 2, and you don't hear that. Oh dude, is this a seaplane parallel runway? That's cool.
Yeah, it looks like a sea lane.
That is super cool.
Skid the Bonanza across that.
Yeah. Water skiing a Bonanza.
Oh god, the sun reflection off that sea lane though, I'm going blind here.
Okay, so I think those are all of my particular questions. Tower, blood, yeah, I think that's all of them. So from a jivey perspective, I've sometimes said local 1 and local 2 on frequency. A few times it's been when NR is controlling, and I want him to know, like, he didn't know it was me, so I wanted to, like, because he knows that I know those things. Is there is that like a is that bad?
What was like the context?
Context would be like I would okay, so like 26.8 from the pier, and then I'm crossing over, and they say, switch to tower 19.9. Like, okay, and it's really more to just like get off that frequency quick, just like local 2 176. Going to local 2 176. Not to say 19.9. I don't know. I don't think I would do it on. I don't think I've ever done it on SoCal, because they wouldn't know.
Yeah, they don't know.
So is
I would
that?
say
Don't do that.
I
I may have picked that up from somebody that may have signed my logbook a number of times.
Yep. I mean, it's not wrong. We'll probably just off frequency say fucking nerd or something, but
So that is a very jivey, nerdy thing to say.
probably, yeah. Like, it's not wrong. You obviously know where you're going or whatever, but yeah.
Is that a John Wayne only thing?
What's that?
The local 1 and 2?
No, there's different like plenty of facilities have different locals.
But in terms
Santa
of
Barbara only had one, like.
So local,
In terms
like LC1, local 1 is controller speak for primary tower frequency.
Yes.
Like you learn that in Oklahoma, that's like the official terminology for primary tower.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, when you're at the academy, you really only deal with. I think we only had one local position at the academy tower.
This approach, by the way, in the airport I'm going over is over a lake, and it looks badass.
In sight, yeah. You're gonna come in from the right over there from the lakeside.
Yeah, I'm just gonna like cross over and do like a little teardrop.
All right.
So would you advise that I don't say that?
Like I said, you're not technically wrong. Does this sound funny? Sure. I don't think I would advise against it.
Yeah. It's like a nerdy, it's very nerdy.
Yeah.
Is it going to gain me any favor with the controllers like we talked about, speaking controller?
That one, probably not so much.
Okay. That is so funny. All right, switching to local 2. See ya. Nerd.
500.
Oh my god.
I'm flying like right at the sun on this approach.
Dude, this is rad.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool little field here. I'm way high. Let's see.
Oh shit! Yeah, you just synced right in front of me. And then.
Oh really?
Yeah, and then caught the 3-wire. Found it. Found the ground.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude, you must have been coming in, freaking smoking.
Yeah, I kept a
Little
little
overshoot.
too much energy there.
Little tiny overshoot. Yeah, I wonder
I don't even
if
see
this.
you anymore. You disappeared.
Oh, I'm next to you now. Like,
Oh, there you are.
This type of airplane. Let me see if it shows in ForeFlight what this actually is, because it. Oh shit! This isn't even charted.
Really?
Yeah. Better. Okay, is there any jivey thing that I could say that I don't already know that would be cool, funny or earn me favor with controllers by saying or doing? Is there any little cheat code that you could provide?
That is a good question.
I mean, the holding short thing, like the monitor tower, that is, like, it seems so simple to me, but there was, for me, definitely a gap in that. Like, it didn't occur to me that to not do that.
Right.
Like monitor tower, I'm gonna monitor the tower until I'm holding short. That's kind of how that's how I thought it in my head. Monitor tower until I'm holding short versus contact tower, then I'm going to contact tower on the taxiway. That's how I delineated those two.
Yeah, I could see that. As far as like a cheat code goes, off the top of my head, no, I can't. I can't really think of anything in particular, at least. That would trigger that. A lot of it just comes down to, I guess, what I would call, what's the word I'm looking for? Drawing a blank right now. It's not the word I'm thinking of, but your ability, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Your competency, like displaying
competence. Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Okay.
Because again, we base a lot of what we do and how we treat people based on how you act and how you sound on the mic frequency. If you sound scared as shit, I'm not gonna try to do anything out of the ordinary with you. But if you sound like you know what you're doing and you've been doing what you're supposed to be doing, then I'm probably just going to lean more into doing other things that I normally wouldn't, or if you ask for stuff, I'd be more likely to accommodate that.
Okay. Yeah, which is kind of what Brad did a really good job of displaying to me very early on. Flockstrot, thank you very much for the raid. Welcome. It's like speaking controller in that, like, kind of what we've been talking about is just not making extra work for anybody.
Right.
And that will get you stuff. And part of it too is, even asking that question, like, are there any cheat codes? Like, I don't have to make a mark on, some controller. Like, oh man, yeah, I had this one guy today that was like really said some cool stuff on the radio. It's like, that doesn't make a successful flight. It's really, like, not, just not being memorable.
Right, because there's definitely I'd imagine, I guess there's like a fine line where you're helping / letting me know what's up, and then just being like annoying or coming across as a nerd, like the whole coming over the top to local 2 and you say switching to local 2,
Yeah,
that falls into that like nerd category. Like, you're not really gonna get any bonus points out of that kind of thing.
That's so good to know. I was all prepared to just be like, oh, I'm gonna be all about local 1, local 2. I'll show these guys.
Yeah. And so I guess it would boil down to, like, I don't know if there even would be a cheat code. It's more, for me at least, again, I can't speak for everybody. For me, it's more a familiarity thing, like, you guys obviously fly out there a lot. I don't always know when it's you guys I'm talking to, because we hear so many more voices a day than you guys end up speaking to, right? So
Absolutely.
It's hard for me to pick up on that when you don't drop a hint in Discord prior to it.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's hard for me to pick up on that. But when I know it's you guys or whatever, like, then obviously it's like, okay, I could probably get away with a little bit more.
And that's where like with NR when Brad and I were both up, you know, I don't know if we told him ahead of time, but we could hear it was him, and I just basically said like, "Hey NR, you know, it's Bill. Brad's behind me or something." You know, like I flat out just said it, and then you know the floodgates opened on, you know,
Right.
Brad, traffic is Bill. Bill, traffic is Brad. Like, so
Yeah.
But and like even asking that question, like, is there a cheat code? That would imply that there's some advantage that needs to be gained from that knowledge. I'm gonna circle back to this airport here. I don't know where you're at, but
Yeah.
and I guess
'cause-
from John Wayne, my personally, if I can get basically it's two things. One, my last landing of the day, I would love to be on the right side based on my parking. It's really not that big of a
Right.
deal. I thought it was going to be a bigger deal than it ended up being. Personally, like it adds 0.1 on the TAC. Maybe it's really not that big of a deal. I honestly
Right.
don't care that much, but it would be kind of nice. I would like to, yeah. So like, if it's possible, that would be nice. It is really nice to land on the right
Obviously.
side and you know just scoot off the
Yeah,
runway.
you know, and people give us hints, you know, like, you know, Cherokee 364 right, choose your left, clear for the option, and they'll come back, you know, 364, this will be a full stop, we park on the west side.
Yeah.
That's your hint, like, if we can get it, we'll take the right, you know, like, without directly asking for it.
I do that all the time. That's the only way
Yeah.
that and I've even had that conversation with a few people where, you know, like I tell Tower where I'm parking. Like I don't think they really care, but you guys want me off of the like taxiways and runways and like get me parked as soon as possible. So if you can squeeze me in on the right side and I don't have to cross runways or do anything goofy, that's probably to your advantage as well.
Yeah, you know, like I said before, we're all about doing things that make our life easier.
Yeah.
If
Arctic
that
Turn,
means
thank
putting
you so
on the
much
right,
for the raid. That's awesome. Welcome. For those of you that are joining, I am flying in Alaska with the tower controller at my local airport. This is Flying Monkey, and we're
Hello.
just having an absolute blast making my life easier and his life easier. I have learned some stuff
And-
that is so fantastic.
and hopefully anybody else that's learning to fly.
Yeah.
That's
That's a really
Yeah.
good point. I forgot about that aspect where, hey, you know, park to Jay's. You know, inbound from the pier, we've got Bravo. We're full stop at Jay's. Like,
Yeah.
okay, cross over the control tower. Oh, fuck.
right. We get it. You're hinting you land on, you know,
Yeah.
you want to land on the right. But
Yep.
yeah, you know how it is there. We can't always do it.
Oh yeah, and I honestly, it's really just a friendly, like, if you can, I'd take the right if you have it available.
And it also boils down to, you know, if you're flying out there, flying your pattern, no issues and stuff, I'm more likely to give it to you than if you're the guy asking for a short approach every time when there's 5 other people in the pattern, or you're the guy that I'm having to call base for every time because you can't see your traffic. I'm probably less likely, again, to accommodate any other requests that you have.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, so the other advantage that I would like to have as a pilot at John Wayne would be in handling and I'm not like in the pattern a lot, so it's not like a huge deal, but it has happened the last handful of times that I have come, you know, whether it's like coming back from a flight and just getting a couple extra landings in or whatever, which I will try to do, even, you know, like on a lunch flight, cross-country flight, if it's not super busy, I'll ask for close traffic and just knock out a couple extra landings. I think that's important given the frequency that I do fly, which isn't a ton.
Right.
I freaking hate when I am in the pattern with people that fly big patterns. I would love there to be some option for me as somebody that wants to turn my base over the freeway to rectify that other than just packing it up. Is there anything that I could do to facilitate? I know that's a really loaded question almost, but
yeah, it's all situational, I think. Like if it's you and one other guy out there that you're following that's just flying these giant patterns,
yeah,
there are times where I'll just extend the guy ahead of you on the down one to call his base so you can dump it in front of him. You know, that's more a personal choice kind of thing. Like if I feel like helping somebody out,
yeah,
which, I mean, there's been pilots that call out other pilots on frequency, like, why are we flying over the blimp hangars again, and
which I've heard. Like I've heard
Yeah.
the blimp hangers. I've heard the past jamboree. Cold Nebo. I don't know the distances. I really only know the landmarks for John Wayne. Do you know them, Flying Monkey? Like how far out Von Carmen is?
No, not off the top of my head.
I can't. It's like a mile or two. I mean, it's not like
it's
super
less than
tight.
2.
Yeah, it's less than 2. I want to say it's like a mile and a half or something, which sounds like a really long downwind, but it's really not, and it's a lower pattern. It's an 800-foot pattern AGL, and then the length one is the one that really annoys me, and that I like to turn my base at what's that MacArthur curve at? I should probably have those numbers, but keep in mind that it is a lower pattern as well, so those numbers will be shorter. But I mean, the freeway 405 is like 2,500 feet, 33,000 feet. That's where I would really like to fly the pattern is a 2,500 foot base leg.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one. I mean, I got yelled at. Who was it? It's this guy, he's got a very distinct voice. He's been there for years. I want to say he kind of sounds Latin American somehow. It's a very, very distinct voice. Like, you sound like a couple of guys. NR, I can pick him out. I can pick out AL. I can pick out the auctioneer, the guy that's on the eight waivers, age waivers or whatever.
Yep.
And then this other guy, and I've never been able, I've described him to everybody, and nobody can pick out can tell me who it is. I might have to pull up a tape and be like, that guy.
That guy.
I wonder if I bet you I can find.
Yeah, if you find a recording, let me have a go at it. That's the thing. Everybody sounds so different on radio to their true voice,
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that you will know him immediately. Full training. I had him like really, really early.
Right down.
Yeah, affirmative.
Cherokee 4, Foster Golf on departure terminating 2.
Nope.
We're good. Okay. All right, now we're clear. Let's check our brakes.
12 hours.
Looking good.
This is the audio from my solo cross country flight. I had 12. I flew to Camarillo with 12 hours of total time. So stupid.
Charlie ground, Archer 444 Foxtrot Golf at Dove Street. Request taxi to midfield run-up.
Our 444 Foster Golf, John ground, hold position, I'll call you right back. Our 4 Foster Golf, hold for the Embraer,
What's
caution
the,
jet box, then taxi to midfield run via Alpha.
What's the
Okay,
time,
we'll
by
hold
the
for the
way,
Embraer,
since
taxi
I'm
to midfield run-up
locked
via
away in
Alpha
VR
444
here?
Foxtrot Golf.
9:48.
Our 4 Foster Golf, use
All
caution
right,
for
cool.
a Cessna, it'll be opposite direction.
Okay, we'll be looking for him. We'll be on the right side, 4 Foxtrot Golf.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so we got ground in there on 1, and we have...
The dude's
ready
in
to go.
one of these videos.
Charlie ground, Archer 444 Foxtrot Golf, ready to continue.
Our 4 Foster Golf, runway 20 left, taxi via Charlie Kilo.
Charlie Kilo to 20 left, 444 Foxtrot Golf.
How's that
We're
for a
restricted.
12-hour
Foster Golf,
pilot?
contact tower 12618.
1268, 444 Foxtrot Golf, we'll see you.
Cherokee 444 Foxtrot Golf, John Tower, fly runway heading. I will call your right turn, runway 20 left at Kilo, for takeoff.
That's
20 left.
that's NR. Dude, I haven't listened to this since I've
The Kilo clear for
met
takeoff,
all you
fly runway
guys.
heading, we'll wait for your right turn, 4
Oh, really?
Golf.
74698 Romeo, John Tower, runway 20 left at Kilo, line up and wait.
Okay.
That's
Line up and wait.
amazing.
98 Romeo.
SD 253, cross over the control tower at or above 1,300 for left traffic, runway
Can you
20
hear
left.
that?
At a,
No, I don't have your stream up
directly
right
over
now.
the control
Oh,
tower
okay,
at
that's-
above
so
Okay,
1,300
lights, camera.
That doesn't help.
left traffic, runway 20
Yeah,
left.
if you find it in one of your
Hotel Delta.
videos or something, just
Everything is in the green.
253
Bookmark
actually
it
just
for
enter
me.
a right
Yeah.
base for runway 20 left.
Airspeed is alive.
That's
runway
so
20
funny.
left from a
To hear
T253.
his
Bonanza
voice.
8 Hotel Delta, cross over the control tower at above 1,300 for left traffic, runway 20 left.
Box 1, please for the left.
Left turn left at hotel and contact ground.
Left at hotel, contact ground, 444 Foxtrot Golf.
Good job, Bill.
Thank you.
Cherokee 444 Foxtrot Golf, turn around, pull in the midfield, run up and hold.
Okay, in midfield, run up and hold, 444 Foxtrot Golf.
Okay.
I don't know who just said, good job, Bill, but that's kind of cool. Must have been...
Oh man, this is gonna bother me now. It doesn't really matter. But anyway, I was following, there's one guy in the pattern, and I was following him, and they kept flying out to the hangars. So I would hold back as much as I could, and then as soon as he's abeam my wing, I would turn my base as he's passing my wing. But he was going so slow. He's flying these patterns so far and going so slow that by the time I'm turning final, I'm eating him up. And
yeah.
I had to go around. The guy yelled at me. He's like, don't follow so close. And it was like a fair comment. Like, I was eating him up, and I'd like have full flaps and like high alpha at 800 feet, like hovering, waiting for him to, like do his touch and go, and then just like dump it in, which is fun, but it's like not fun when you have to do it every single time.
Right.
And I just I didn't know how best to handle that without getting in the way or sounding like a jackass or something. And in fact, after that, I had a similar situation where somebody was flying like way out, and I asked for a short approach to like cut the guy off, and the controller was like, "Oh no, you're number 3." and I didn't see that there was a guy on short final, and that kind of was like causing this guy to extend and whatever. So I was like, crap. So like I asked in that case, I just don't like, I don't know what the best. My lovely boss, my nickname as of tonight is Teabag. Teabag. Awesome. By the way, must be a fun night. 1 p.m. on a Wednesday, or 1 a.m. on a Wednesday in Manhattan. Gotta love it.
Nice.
So yeah,
You've,
I just
disappeared
I don't know.
for me. So.
Oh, I did. What the hell?
Yeah.
This
I'm
is really
approaching
pretty
the
terrain.
coastline of this section of land we were flying over, but I don't see you anymore.
Yeah, I'm like pretty close to the coast. I don't see any of your lights. I'm kind of heading towards Anchorage here. This is really cool terrain. Yeah, so like, what is there anything really that you can do, or is it just like that's the nature of it? Because I look at it as from the ability perspective that if that guy's flying out even midway between 405 and the hangars, I can short approach that comfortably within the freeway as like an almost a normal pattern, and and you know, like not have to maintain any spacing, or you know, do a 360 in the downwind or anything like that. From your guys' perspective, what can I do?
Well,
ask?
Here at least.
I mean, like, is it just like
you can ask? Like, what it boils down to, I feel like, is it is kind of just the nature of the beast here. Yeah. One person will ruin it for everybody, and for us, like, you can ask for a short approach, and typically what's going to happen is we're just going to say no. Like, if there's more, usually when there's more than 2 in the pattern, it's more work than we'd want to do to accommodate short approaches, when there's other stuff going on. If there's literally nothing else going on, then it can probably happen. But when there's several in the pattern and multiple departures and arrivals happening, you're probably not going to get that request. Used to be, well, I guess I should preface it by saying, we lump you guys basically all in the same category. The Cessnas, the Bonanzas, the Cherokees. Like, you're all just light civil GA aircraft to us. And for our intents and purposes, you're going to, we're going to put you in the same group. What used to happen back in the day when I worked at John Wayne the first time, we'd have the pits out there and the extra out there when there's 6 other Cessnas in the pattern. And so you can imagine how that goes for those guys. Not very well. So what we would do is those guys would legit have a pattern inside of the normal traffic pattern, and they would do their touch and goes, and we'd weave them in between the standard guys. Wow. So for those quote-unquote high-performance aircraft, that's something we used to do. Does that happen anymore? I don't know, because I don't know. I haven't seen it since I got back. I don't know if the controllers that are there now are even familiar with that. But what I'm getting at is, it seems like there are fewer, we wouldn't think
of those planes doing patterns too.
Right, and we wouldn't think to do that just because you're eating up a Cessna in the pattern while you're flying in Cherokee 364 or something. Yeah. We just equate that to there's somebody being, quote unquote, a jackass in the pattern. Everybody gets to suffer now.
I just had an idea.
Yeah.
I just had an idea. For me, like, I have heard on frequency you guys yell at, and I say yell at kind of like half jokingly, but you guys tell pilots to tighten up patterns. I've heard that, like, stop flying your 3-mile downwinds, please. Is there a method, or is there like an appropriate way? There is aerobatic training there, yeah, but it's like they're not high performance. Is there a way to like basically narc? Like, is there a way to report? Because what I feel like, as from a pilot's perspective, I wouldn't want to be called out on frequency for doing something that isn't illegal. It's just annoying. They're not doing anything that's necessarily illegal. If that's where they feel safe to fly their pattern, then they should be able to fly their pattern like that, even if it's inconveniencing other people. But at the same time, I don't feel safe flying at 800 AGL over the Tustin marketplace.
Correct.
You know, and like waiting for this frickin' jackass to decide he wants to turn final finally. So I look at it like I am trying to fly my safe pattern, but is there like can I like on comm 2, you know, while I'm monitoring, you know, local 2 or whatever, like pop over to clearance and be like, hey, can you, you know, like can you tell this Sunrise plane to please tighten it up a little bit, or like some off frequency way to kind of be like, hey, is there anything we can do here? Like I kind of want to get a couple extra landings, and this is like really far out. Is that really stupid or partly
yeah, I would
stupid?
say definitely don't do that. We'll probably be less likely to accommodate you at that point. Yeah, like it's tough. I know it sucks, but I think that's just why when it happens enough, inevitably somebody in the pattern just puts them on blast.
Yeah.
Hoping that they either quit or get their shit together.
Yeah. Okay.
Which, you know, if you feel like you got to do that, then do that, you know, or you can try to request something else with us, short approaches or whatever. But again, it's all situational. It all depends on what we got going on.
Okay.
You know, with how much we'll actually be able to help.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know where you are, but I'm touching down on 2-5 right now.
Yeah, I'm on. Yeah, me too. I saw you, and then you kind of like blinked out. It looked like you were lining up for the left side. But yeah, I'm going, and we can full stop it here too. Yeah, I'm just over the numbers right now.
Yeah, I just touched down.
So I think like in talking through this, I guess, because it is annoying, and I am swearing at the guy, and I am like, this is the stupidest thing ever, and this is ruining my fun pattern time at John Wayne and whatever. But ultimately, I do feel like if this is how they're like comfortable, you know, like I don't know what's going on in their airplane. It's more than likely a instructor that's just not having them keep it tight, and it's just annoying. But we don't know if it's somebody that's getting recurrent, or, you know, just not comfortable or whatever. So I'm totally fine with that. But is there like, would you guys find it inappropriate, or, you know, like if I'm flying patterns, and let's say there's 2 or 3 patterns, 2 or 3 planes in the pattern or something, including me, and I just call up and say, hey, Tower Cherokee 83364, these patterns are getting kind of big. Is there like anything that we could do? You know, like right 360 for spacing, or, you know, I can take a short approach. Is that too much, or like unnecessary?
No,
or
and that does happen. You know, people will say, hey, we don't want to extend out so far, can we just make a right 360? You know, which is kind of a roundabout way of hopefully whoever's leading the parade has the awareness to catch on to that and hear what's going on. You know, it's you know, you're asking us for something. So there's times where, you know, assuming there's nobody behind you or inbound on the 45, sure, I'll give you the 360. If it looks like it'll work, there's times where I was just like, can you make a short approach from there?
Yeah.
You know, and if you can dump it in, then I'll get you in, kind of thing. You know, so that's kind of a roundabout way of asking.
Okay.
For that, without technically straight calling out somebody, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of, yeah, and I think that is what I think it would be inappropriate is like fully calling somebody out for that. Like, if you guys want to do that, like, get them, nail them, you know. But as another pilot, I think that's kind of inappropriate, unless it's really like danger. Like, if someone's doing something dangerous that we see that you may not, like, you know, definitely speak up. But in this case, it's like, this guy's flying a little bit further out. Is training different approaches the issue? Not really, Cold Nemo. It's really about just the size of the pattern. It's a weird, like, the John Wayne pattern is very bizarre in a number of different ways, and one of the things that makes it really uncomfortable for me is the fact that when you extend the final out that far, it's not like a bunch of fields. It's buildings and warehouses and busy roads. So the further out I go at 800 feet, the less time I have to get to the field with a problem. And that's where it's like really, really uncomfortable for me. And
so,
yeah.
I'll tell you this much about, if you find yourself getting caught in a pattern where you're just flying out, I wouldn't find an issue with you starting a climb once you pass the numbers for 20 left.
Okay.
The whole reason we keep you at 800 is for the people crossing over at 1300, right?
Yeah.
Like, you know, your pattern altitude's 800. That's why the crossing altitude for over the top's 1300. You have your 500-foot VFR separation, which is why if pattern altitude's 800, please don't fly at 1,000 or 1,200, that's another thing that's starting to happen at John Wayne. There's a reason we need you at pattern altitude.
Yeah.
So stay there. But
that was the number one thing in that tower, in that ATC pilot meeting was the like, mind your altitudes. Like, there's a reason, and that was one of the main things that I took from that I always think about. You know, like, we have many layers of traffic. Like, it's not just the horizontal traffic, it's the you know,
vertical.
You got the helicopters at 500, you got the left traffic at 800, you've got the crossing traffic at 1300, you've got, you know, a turbojet on the other side at 1500. Like, it's just a nonstop layer cake of, you know.
So, to me at least, I, again, can't speak for everybody, if we're in a pattern where it's just whoever's leading the parade is turning that 3-mile final, and you feel safer at a higher altitude than 800, I personally, and I don't think a lot of other people would have a problem with you climbing up another couple hundred feet as necessary. Once you pass, I would say probably like the 405 is probably like a good bet, you know.
Okay. Is that something that you would want a heads up on? Or is it okay to just kind of creep up a little bit?
You know, me personally, no, because I understand, like, it's a safety thing for you guys too. Other controllers might not know that as much, you know, so it might not hurt. Like, hey, we're just climbing up a little bit, you know, as we're extending so far, whatever. So it never hurts to keep us in the loop.
Yeah.
Let's say.
Yeah. So this is where my pattern here. So at the departure end, I am crossing pretty much right at the ramp of ACI, that little blue building, and then I am turning here, and I don't want to be outside of Von Karman, so then I follow Von Karman all the way up, and then here, beam the numbers is where it will take one of two turns. Either it's no one's in the pattern and I can do this, which is what I want to do. So that's the pattern that I want to do. This is the pattern that this is like the maximum pattern that I would be comfortable with. Right where this curve street is, that's MacArthur. I want to like dissect the beginning of that and then cross here. So those are the two patterns. I like preferred 1 and then preferred 2 are probably right there. So those are the patterns that I would prefer to fly. What we're talking about is when planes will take off. They're usually pretty good about flying their upwinds offset.
Hey, real quick, while you're explaining that, I'm going to go use the restroom real quick.
Okay, cool. And then they turn out over here and they're flying over Jamboree. They fly out here to Jamboree and then go all the way out here. And then, you know, like sometimes they even go out to here. This is where the hangars are out here. So then they go all the way out here and then they turn their offset final and come down here like that. So you can see the difference where I want to be versus where some traffic puts themselves. So as a student, we hear about base turn at a 45 degree. Yeah, but that's even like the problem with a lot of that is it's not like the pattern is taught that way, and this is from Brad. Like this is from my instructor. The pattern is taught in that like, you know, at this altitude you turn, and when you see the runway dissects the upright, that's 45. That's whatever your downwind, and then when you're 45, then you turn base, and all of that stuff is just for a standardized method of teaching the various segments of flying a pattern. There is like, that doesn't mean that it has to be flown in that exact manner or it's like not a good pattern, because it's really, like, when do you put your flaps in? Yes. Like that's one of the earliest things that Brad said to me that I always remember and think is hilarious. Okay, so when do I go full flaps? Yep. Like when you're a student and you're trying to like decipher all this stuff and figure it out, you're like, yeah, but when do I put the flaps in? Like, I got to know when to put the flaps in. Yes. You put the flaps in when you need to put the flaps in. That's the answer. When do you turn base? You turn base when you need to turn base. That's really the answer. It's not at a 45 degree. It might be, but it also might not be. You don't need to go out that far sometimes. Keep it tight. But they have those standardized instructional type of examples as a way to wrap your head around it. Then you can fine tune it from there. And where it becomes an issue is if I'm following the guy in the blue. Hopefully you guys can see that okay. I'm following the guy in the blue and I want to be like, I am comfortable in the red. This is where I'm happy flying my pattern. I'm close to the airport. I know that the plane is going to fly this perfectly. I want to just keep it tight, keep it comfortable and whatever, right? So as soon as I start like doubling the length of my downwind, this is where what Flying Monkey said, pretty much pretty much Cold Nemo. Yeah. And it's like, Yeah, it can be like I can descend pretty aggressively through here if I want to make it really short, and then have to add a little bit of power coming in, so it's not necessarily at power off 180, but more or less, yeah. There's no reason why the pattern couldn't be a power off 180, especially in these trainers. So if I'm way out here at 800 feet AGL, like, I'm not making the runway. I'm gonna have to land out here. Versus if I'm out here and I lose an engine, I can still make the airport, and I have like this entire section of the airport before I get to the runway that I know is flat and nice, and I have easy access to emergency vehicles. Like, it's all right there. I can make it from here. I know that I can make the airport from here if I have an engine out. If I have an engine out right here, I know for a fact that I'm not going to make the airport. So I, as the pilot, get very upset when I see somebody forcing me to be out here. And what Flying Monkey was saying, that, you know, once you're abeam the numbers and it looks like I'm going to be extending, you can start climbing up to, 1,000 and just let them know, hey, climb. I'm going to climb a little bit if we're extending or something. But that is why. And I don't know what that distance is off the top of my head, but it really, like, you know it by feel, because you know that in like a power off 180 where you're able to make the runway. And when you're talking about yeah, earlier student me wouldn't have been thinking that I would have copied the geometric ideal. Yeah, and that's important because it's a repeatable concept, and you need that repetition in order to be able to physically fly the pattern and, like, do everything in sequence and as a procedure. So to fly that, okay, I'm turning crosswind here, I'm turning downwind here, I'm turning base here. It's like you can repeat that, but the reason for the pattern is a standardized entry for traffic flow, more or less. Like, the idea of a traffic pattern is really only for sequencing other planes, and you gotta, like, when people are not on the same page is where you have problems. And at an airport like John Wayne, where it's a very asymmetric, weird pattern, it's easier to deviate from each other because it is so atypical. So people have different training and different airports and, just different experiences, and might not be able to fly a pattern that's that tight. Once my instructor took over, because we had a bit higher tailwinds, and we weren't going to get that 150 down with normal flaps. Dump them, slip it in. Heck yeah. So that is I just drew a nice little diagram here that explains everything. Yeah, and looking at,
you change your paint job?
What's that?
You change your paint job?
No. Of the plane?
No. Yeah.
No.
Your plane is literally changing, like, liveries in front of me. It's weird.
What the hell? There's definitely some weird network shit going on.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, dude, that was incredibly informative for just a, hey, let's go buzz around flight. I'm sure talking about work for 3 hours isn't like the number one thing on your list, but thank you for humoring me. That's super fun. Super fun. Thank you guys for watching. Hopefully that was informative for those of you that that have stuck around for most of that. It's really, I think, really important to have these conversations. And if you and NR or AL, like any of you guys are up for it, I would like to do this a little bit more too, because I can't believe how much stuff I learned tonight, honestly.
Yeah, I'm always down.
Hopefully there's a trickle down effect that makes your job easier. You know, I mean, that's like kind of, if you like the, you know, cynically have any motivation for wanting to do more of this, it would be to make, you know, work easier.
Yes.